Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 36 of D.A.R.C, or Does Anyone Really Care? The mini review series for Gran Turismo 6, where we're just doing a quick overall review really of certain cars which are underloved or seem to be underloved by the majority of GT6 players, and cars which are not just underloved but are really deserving of being used more and are genuinely good alternatives to the cars that everybody always uses. So in this episode, this is certainly a car like that. It's the Toyota Altezza Touring Car. This is a made-up car. It does not exist in real life. It's purely a product of Polyphony Digital, but it's actually one of the best value for money cars, especially within the field of racing cars, on all of Gran Turismo 6. It's a proper, fully fledged touring car which can compete at the top level of touring car racing, but it is significantly, and I mean significantly, cheaper than many of the often used touring cars. So for those of you guys who maybe find it harder to earn a lot of money, or just don't want to spend potentially hours earning enough money to buy all the super expensive cars that people tell you that you need, this is a genuinely viable and genuinely competitive alternative. So how much does it cost? Well, it costs 75,000 credits, which when you think about it is amazingly good value. Even if it was a basic touring car, that would be good value. For a fully fledged, true-blooded racing car, 75 grand is peanuts, really, compared to, for instance, 1.2 million or whatever it is for the Mercedes touring car, for the Alfa Romeo touring car, I believe 1 million credits for the Audi touring car, etc, etc, etc. They are very, very expensive cars. This car is cheap in comparison. 75 grand. You could buy loads of these Lexus or Toyota models for far less than the price of one of those touring cars. But what does it offer fully tuned? Well, the PP of this car, fully upgraded, is actually very good. It's very competitive. It sits at 570 pp fully upgraded, so it sits beautifully within the 575 pp category. It can easily and effectively be down tuned to the 550 pp category, and it's still competitive at even less than that. Fully tuned, it puts out 549 brake horsepower, so it's got a genuinely good amount of power, good enough to compete with many of the other touring cars. Some of the touring cars do have more power than that fully tuned, but at the end of the day, most people don't use fully tuned touring cars. They tend to be restricted in public lobbies by things like PP and power limits. So the maximum potential of those other cars, such as the DTM touring cars, doesn't really matter, because you very rarely use that, whereas this car has a genuinely competitive level of fully tuned performance. Plus, you can always say that you could restrict those other cars, but, and many people don't realise this, a car that sits at a certain PP fully tuned performs better than a car which is restricted to that level. Because by restricting the engine, you are doing just that. You are restricting the car's performance, and a car that's working at its best at that PP level does work better than a car that's restricted down to that level, because you're not allowing the engine to work at its best. Now, another great thing about this Altezza touring car is its weight. Touring cars generally aren't that lightweight. Some of them are, but they're usually reasonably heavy, around the same kind of weight as your average hatchback. This Lexus, which interestingly enough does have a weight loss option, you can, I believe it's the window weight loss, which you can reduce on this one, weighs in at just 995 kilos, so it's extremely lightweight for a full-size touring car. So the power to weight ratio on it is excellent. It's over 550 horsepower per tonne. The power is great, the weight is nice and low, and as for its performance, it is a very good car. Now for top speed, I haven't actually tested this car, but based on how it drives on tracks such as here on Midfield, I would predict that this car probably has a top speed in the 200 mph region, maybe 210. I wouldn't have thought much higher than 210, maybe 220, but unlikely to be honest. So the top speed on it is good for a touring car, the acceleration is perfectly respectable, and the handling is very, very good. There's tons of grip, and the brakes are excellent. So if you're looking for a genuinely affordable touring car, or just racing car, I'd strongly recommend giving this one a go. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.